You promised a whisper of a ripple could grow all the way to me.
So I did, and now we can trust the beginning and follow it forward.
Forward from the ripples you kept pointing back toward?
From those very ripples, up through everything, right to your own hand.
It seems far too small a start for a whole enormous me.
The loveliest part is that one thread runs the whole unbroken way.
One thread, with nothing left out anywhere in between?
Not one single gap from the faintest ripple to a wondering you.
Then show me the seeds of me and how they grew into all of this.
We begin where every thread begins, at the oldest light of all.
The oldest light, that baby picture of the sky you showed me?
That very glow, and it was almost, but not quite, perfectly smooth.
Almost smooth, so something must have troubled the smoothness.
The faintest ripples, some patches a whisker more crowded than the rest.
A whisker more crowded, and that was honestly all?
Only that, the tiniest unevenness you could ever hope to picture.
It hardly seems enough to build a single thing upon.
And yet each crowded patch is a seed of everything still to come.
A seed like the kind a whole garden grows up from.
Exactly so, a quiet seed with a great deal folded softly inside.
How did anyone ever notice something so terribly faint?
We read them straight off the oldest light, a touch warmer here, cooler there.
So the ripples are truly there, and not a hopeful dream?
Measured over and over, so this very first step stands as firm ink.
Firm ink, right at the very opening of the whole story.
Here is the oldest light itself, its faintest ripples the seeds of you.
Such a small beginning, holding such an enormous promise.
Small and patient, and now one gentle pull begins to stir them awake.
What gentle pull could ever wake a sleeping seed?
The same quiet pull that holds you to the floor of this ship.
The pull that keeps my boots from drifting off the deck?
That very one, and it tugs a shade harder wherever things are crowded.
Harder wherever the crowd is already thicker, you mean?
Just there, so a crowded patch draws in a little more from nearby.
And the more it gathers, the harder it must pull?
You have it exactly. Each new bit makes the pull a touch stronger.
So the crowded places only grow more crowded still?
Slowly and surely, over ages far longer than we could ever feel.
And the emptier places, what becomes of those?
They give up their little to the crowds and grow emptier yet.
So the seeds slowly pull the whole sky into a shape.
Patch by patch, the crowded seeds draw the scattered stuff together.
All of it from that first faint unevenness in the light.
This is the patient hand of it all, gravity pulling hardest where things crowd.
A patient hand, working across such unimaginable stretches of time.
And its slow gathering weaves the crowds into a vast and lovely lacework.
A lacework spun from nothing but crowded little seeds?
From those seeds alone, drawn out into long bright threads and knots.
Threads and knots, stretching how far across the sky?
Across reaches so wide the mind can barely hold them at once.
And this great lacework carries a name of its own?
We call it the Great Cosmic Web, the largest pattern there is.
The largest pattern anywhere, and it grew from a ripple?
Every strand of it traced right back to those first crowded patches.
Where do all those threads seem to gather and meet?
At the knots where the pull ran strongest and the crowds grew richest.
So the knots are the busiest places in the whole web?
The busiest by far, heavy with gathered stuff and ready for more.
Ready for the next thing to happen deep inside them?
More than ready, for in those knots the truly bright things begin.
And every bit of this we can still see out there today?
Here is the great cosmic web, its threads and knots grown from your seeds.
From a whisper of a ripple to a web across all the sky.
And in its very richest knots, something at last begins to catch alight.
Something catches alight inside the crowded knots?
In the richest knots, the gathered stuff clumps into great islands.
Great islands, floating in all that dark between?
Islands of gathered stuff, each one a galaxy brimming with more.
And deep inside an island, what gathers next?
The gas draws together in tighter knots of its own, hotter and hotter.
Tighter and hotter, until at last what finally happens?
Until a knot grows so fierce at its heart that it catches alight.
Catches a light into a real and shining star?
Into a true star, the first of countless lamps across the islands.
The very first starlight you told me of once before?
that same first light kindled again in island upon island.
So the whole web of seeds fills up with burning stars.
Islands full of them, each one lit where the gathering ran deep.
All of it still following the thread from that first faint ripple.
Here they are at last, stars lighting up in the knots your seeds first drew.
Stars, kindled straight from a whisper of unevenness.
And each burning star is quietly cooking something new deep inside.
Cooking something new, deep in the heart of a burning star?
In its hot heart, a star forges heavier stuff than it began with.
Heavier stuff, of a kind the early sky never made?
Just so, for the beginning, cooked only the lightest, simplest stuff.
So the stars make the richer, heavier kinds all by themselves.
Inside stars, patiently, the heavier and more interesting atoms are born.
And where do those new atoms go when a star is finally done?
A star scatters them wide when its long life comes to a close.
Scattered out into the islands to drift among the rest?
Drifting until they gather anew into fresh worlds and small stony grounds.
Fresh worlds, built from the leavings of older stars?
Built of it entirely, and our own small world among them.
Our world, made of the very leavings of long-gone stars?
Every stone and every sea of it, and every living thing upon it.
Every living thing, and does that truly reach all the way to me?
All the way to you, for the atoms in your hand were forged inside stars.
The very atoms of me, cooked long ago in the heart of a star.
Star stuff gathered into a wondering child who can look back and ask.
So one thread really does run the whole enormous way?
One unbroken thread, from a whisker of a ripple to a living you.
Never breaking, never skipping a single step in between?
Every step joined to the next, the seed, the pull, the web, the star.
The seed to the pull to the web to the star.
And the star to the atoms that quietly became your very self.
So the tiniest thing at the start grew into the biggest of all?
The smallest unevenness there ever was grew into all there is.
And then, softest of all, it grew into a wondering me.
This is the whole of it, from a single ripple all the way to you.
I am what one faint ripple slowly grew up to be.
You are the seed of the beginning, awake at last and looking home.
Is every step of this thread something we can truly check?
Every step, the ripples, the pull, the web, and the star, all firm ink.
And yet you always leave one honest page still blank.
The thread starts at the ripples, and what came before stays a blank page.
So the story of what grew is sure, even past the honest edge?
The growing is well and truly known, while the edge stays honestly unknown.
Firm where we can see, and honest about the dark beyond.
Next, we turn the whole long tail around and run it forward once more.
Forward, all the way from the oldest glow back to us?
From the very first light, step by step, straight home to you.
With the sure ink and the honest guesses each clearly marked?
Each one plainly shown, so the whole story stays honest to the end.
The first light, the web, the stars, and us in one last telling?
All of it in one forward journey, our small place among everything.
Then come along and see the first light grow into a whole living you.
Subscribe and be here when the story runs forward all the way home.
Follow along and watch the first light become everyone we love.
Season 3 keeps following the light all the way home.